Hello and welcome back to Dial H for Heroclix. This is your sexy ranch hand co-host Kalder and S. This is the first episode of Dial C for conventions. Howdy, howdy, let's get rowdy. My stuff. Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, including all the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. Make sure to check them out at CoolStuffInc.com. Joining me in the studio today is my good co-host, Simeon.
That's me.
And also, we are joined by special guest, Mason Johnson.
Hello, everyone.
So today we're going to be talking about Nebraskon, a convention me and Simeon just went to last weekend. Mason was running the board game room there, so we're going to go ahead and ask him a few questions. We're going to get to know him first, and then we're going to go ahead and just dive right into it. So, Mason, where do you work, and what do you do?
I work at Legend of Wolf Games. We're a board game and card game store here in Omaha. We are located at the Oakview Mall here, and I'm the store manager out there. And I did want to make a correction. I was only running demos in the board game room. The Anime Nebraskon people were the ones actually running the room.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know I saw a big card game banner on the wall, and I know I saw a ton of people playing card games while I was there, so I just wanted to make sure. All right, right on.
Yep.
Simi, you want to go take the next one?
Yeah, so you said you were demoing. What was your favorite game that you demoed this weekend, or that weekend?
So my favorite game that we demo on a normal basis is Universal Fighting System. It's or UFS for short. It's kind of like every fighting game, the card game. So it has like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur. They recently are doing a new piece where they're changing their name to Universes, and then they're incorporating other action genres. So like there's some like new anime like Yu Yu Hakusho and Cowboy Bebop that are getting added to the game. So they're kind of branching out from just fighting games. But the game's super skill intensive and definitely makes you think through the entire game, which is the reason it's my favorite.
That is awesome. I love it when they can cross over with as many different properties in any game. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. So what all did you bring for demos there? I know it was mostly trading card games.
So we did only trading card game demos. Normally we usually have a board game or two that comes with us, but we didn't have quite enough volunteers come out with us, so we just did card games. We had, besides Universal Fighting System, we had the Final Fantasy trading card game, which has become pretty big here in the last 2 years. We had the Dragon Ball Super card game, which is been around for about 3 years now, and it's definitely taken off in a couple of places around the United States. And then we had the Transformers card game, which is made by Wizards of the Coast. It's their new project, kind of. It's been out for about 9 months now, I believe, somewhere around there. They just had their 4th set release this month, and that card game is brand new, so a lot of people don't
really taken off though, right? Because I've seen it a lot, all over the place.
Oh, yeah. Because it's made by Wizards of the Coast and stuff like that, a lot of Magic players see that and they're like, oh, hey, a new card game that's made by our favorite company. So they kind of hop on board with that really easily. And the game is very simple to learn how to play. So it's it's our while a lot of people are like Pokemon's the game for kids to learn how to play card games with. Transformers is actually much easier to teach the kids than Pokemon is. So that's actually been our game of choice for families and stuff like that.
Awesome.
I know that each series they've added a new kind of mechanic for Transformers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What was I haven't seen what the 4th series is. Did they add a new one for the 4th series?
I have not had a chance to play with any of the new cards yet because they are just releasing this weekend. Okay. So I'm actually not sure what the new mechanic that they're doing is. But I know in the 3rd set that they released, they had a trap card mechanic essentially that wasn't in the game before. But you can play one action card every turn, and normally your actions were just very upfront, draw 2 cards or do something. But they had a new one where you put your action card face down, and then they have a triggered effect when something happens. So they added a little bit more like playing and a little more diversity to the way your turn can play out with that set. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that game, but sadly I need it to die so that we can get Transformers and Heroclix, because we'll never get the property rights. No, I actually do think it's a really cool game. I've got some of the cards, just nothing good right now, so I haven't built a decent deck yet.
Oh yeah, all of my decks are commons and uncommons because I'm constantly teaching new players how to play, so I never actually build competitive decks for that game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Little popper action going on there. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. So, kind of for setup for conventions, besides what you bring, but how many conventions has Legendary Wolf Games been to?
Legendary Wolf Games has been to quite a few. Let me think here for a second. So we weren't at Gen Con, but we went down and helped Jasco Games demo the new My Hero Academia card game at Gen Con. So that was pretty big. We have been...
Was that in 2018?
Nope, this year. This year.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So that wasn't too long ago.
Nope, that was like 2 months ago now, I think.
I believe something like that. That's kind of crazy cool, because I was actually at Gen Con, so that's awesome.
Yeah, we were doing the new My Hero Academia card game there, and that was really big. Like, it was like 3 days straight of demoing the same card game over and over again.
Wow.
And then they had I'm trying to remember the numbers. They had a lot of people come out and demo at it. I think they gave away like a couple thousand demo decks over the course of the weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy. We recently were at NewtCon, which is another board game convention here in Omaha. We had a booth there. And that one we actually did... Excuse me. We actually did get to sell stuff at. So that was a little bit different than what we were doing at this last convention. But because at Nebraskon we were just doing demos. We didn't have a booth for like sales or anything like that this year.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm thinking that there was one other convention that happened that we went to before I started working there. I've only been working for Legend Wolf Games for about I think I'm going on 7 months now. So I think there was one at like the beginning of this year that they went to, but I was not a part of that.
Cool. How'd you get? Obviously, you were a fan of like games before you got a job there. At least I hope. What was the process of like going from being like a fan to like doing it as like something that brings in income?
Yeah. So actually, it kind of just like fell into my lap. I was playing card games with Miles Tyler, who's the owner of the store, for like 5 years before this happened. But I had a lot of retail experience, and he fell into a position where his business was doing well enough that he needed another manager to be able to do things. So one day he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this?" And it was a much better gig than what I had going on at the time. And I was like, this sounds like a great opportunity. And I really wanted to help out with the store anyways. So it was super cool and just an awesome opportunity that I readily took. So yeah, it kind of just fell into my lap and I had the right connections at the time. So
that is
nice.
Awesome. Like,
yeah,
I can say for probably a lot of people, it's kind of like a dream to like work at like a game shop or a comic shop. It would just be really cool to be surrounded by all the stuff that you think is like just a hobby, but it's also like, this is actually my job. Like, that's just really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because like I've been going to gaming stores since for as long as I can remember, really. Like elementary school age, I would go to like the Dragon's Lair like here in town and stuff like that and play like card games and stuff. So like,
the one that burned down or the one that they moved from recently?
I know that the one that burned down I had been to a couple times before that happened.
Yeah.
And
that
then,
one had the best comics. I would always go there for like their old bins.
Yep, we used to go after that one burned down. We went to the Ground Zero down on 55th and L Street or something like that.
Right by Lansky's. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. I love Lansky's. It's like one of my favorite restaurants in town, actually. But that's a little off topic. But But yeah, so so I've played games at all of the gaming stores here in town, like all of them, yeah, because I ended up doing stuff at the game shop with Magic and Warhammer models and stuff like that. And then I was over at Krypton Comics playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a while before they closed. So like I've experienced like all the gaming stores here in town, like pretty much my entire life. So having like the opportunity now to be a part of like a new and upcoming gaming store and like really like getting it into the scene is something that like is really awesome that I'm glad I'm a part of.
Nice. That is really cool.
Yeah.
As someone who's not from Omaha, some of that went over my head a little bit. But I still think it's awesome. That's really awesome.
Lansky's is a pizza pasta
place. I didn't mean to bring it back up.
They have a beer cheese lasagna, and it's amazing.
I only say that because Ground Zero, which they moved to, I think, further down L Street, or over by Ralston, but Ground Zero was the closest gaming store to my house. It was only about 6 blocks away for the longest time. And then they packed up and left, and so it's still a sore spot for me. That's why I bring it up again.
Ooh, you know what?
No, I'm in.
It's not on topic, but I'm gonna. Yeah, Simeon, let me just talk over you here. Give me a second. But I used to go to Rapid City a lot when I played games, and there was also an Italian place. This is gaming related, sort of, guys. Trust me, follow with me here. And I would always they had pizzones that weren't pizzones, and they were like 3 times better than pizzones. What is your favorite like snack pre or post or even during like gaming, if that's a relative topic?
Reese's peanut butter cups. I think that might be it. Like anything that's chocolate.
That's like the right answer. Reese's peanut butter cups is like my favorite candy of all time, so that is the right answer to that question. Not that there was one, but that was it. All right, go ahead, Simeon. Any other questions that you
I go with almond Snickers usually if I have the option.
This guy. That was clearly the worst answer to that question.
Back on almonds good, Snickers good. You put them together, it's good.
What's wrong with the normal peanuts? Anyways, keep going.
On track. So we'll go back to Nebcon. If you continue like partnering with them, what's kind of the direction that you'd like to see them go as far as like the tabletop side of it goes? Like, would you like to see them like invest more like time and effort into that side? Like more volunteers? You said that like you needed a few more this year. What's kind of like your hopes for that?
So the biggest thing about that we were caught off guard with, because this is the first year we've done anything with Nebraskon. We were caught off guard because we didn't realize that we weren't going to be in the actual hotel where the convention was going. We're in the hotel across the street from them, which is where their board game room was. So we were a little caught off guard there. But we would like to do have like a vendor booth next year with them, and then we'd actually be over at the actual convention, and we'd have stuff going on in the board game room. But the biggest thing stopping that for us is that their vendor room feels really unorganized when you walk through it. Like, there's no real flow. So there's constantly people, like, running into each other and stuff like that. So, like, I hope that they can find a way to fix that. That room isn't very well, like, that room that they always have it in isn't the best set up for that situation, but it's the biggest room that they have access to in the location. So, like, we're hoping to figure something out, but we also are a little skeptical about it.
Trying to breathe with only one nostril.
Like, there are 2 doors to that room, and if they made it like a hard, like, this is the entrance and this is the exit to this room, I think it would make it a little bit better. I know that they said they were trying to police that this time, but like, it wasn't working super well. But yeah, so I'm hoping that they can kind of get that cleaned up a little bit, and make it a little bit better that way. But I would love to have a vendor booth there, because I think that they get enough traffic and things like that, and they meet like what we are looking for, like what the kind of communities we're looking for, that it would work out really well. As far as the board game side of the room goes, I think all of their volunteers and people that they had working in the board game room did an awesome job. Like, they were super accommodating. When we asked if we could get a couple more tables and stuff like that, and they were really quick about helping us whenever we needed help. The lack of volunteers was on our end as a store. Right now, we only have 3 employees. It's myself, my other manager, Shane, and then we have a part-time employee named Aaron. Miles, the owner, was there, but he was more so there to be like a hype man and like go find people and like bring them to the room and things like that. So everyone else that was at the table demoing were volunteers from our player bases. One of the big things we ran into was that there was a My Hero Academia like panel happening over at the convention hall, and we were like, oh, we should run over there and like let them all know we're doing My Hero Academia card game demos. And then before we went over there, we realized we only had 2 people demoing My Hero Academia there, and if we had 100 people from this panel come over and want to demo, there's no way we could accommodate all of them. So hopefully next time we can kind of figure something out where we have more people, or we can be more prepared for a situation like that, because I think that would have been a huge opportunity that we weren't really able to take advantage of because of the lack of people we had available for that situation.
Yeah, I think you guys should just take over the video game section, because no one plays video games anymore.
Oh, I didn't even know they had a video game. Oh, it's in the like... Yeah, it's in the main hotel.
The hotel, yeah, it's in the hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea how to work a PS4. As soon as we showed up, it broke on site.
I've never felt like the oldest man in the room until like I literally Calder had to like push buttons on the PS4 for me, because I honestly have never held a PS4 controller before. Which is sad. I own a PS3 and I've had it for over 10 years now. But no, I will take like tabletop gaming and card gaming over video games any day. So I honestly think maybe one of these years they should just flip flop it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that happening, honestly.
That would be super cool if we were, because like I think one of the big reasons that there's not as much traffic to the board gaming room is because it's over at the other hotel. So like if it was in the main convention room, the main convention like hotel, that I think it would see a lot more traffic. I do remember going to Nebraskon like 6 or 7 years ago, and the video game room being like hugely popular. So I'm surprised to hear that it's not as popular anymore.
It's almost
that's just like, by me.
Quite a few like people are still in there. It's just Simeon being old and not
a
video game.
Okay.
Person. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's still popular. It's just me. I don't understand the Marios and the laser swords and the Tekkens. I don't understand anymore.
You were terrible at Tekken. To be fair, I was also pretty bad at the Tekkens too.
Yes. Yeah, I've passed on to the other side.
Yeah. Well, Tekken's one of those fighting games that you have to create your own combos that aren't any in the game. Like you have to make your own combos. So if you don't know how to like combo moves into each other, then the game doesn't work. So
that about sums it up, I'd say.
Yep.
But all right, fantastic. Do we have any other like final questions we might want to ask Simeon?
I'm an open book.
Here.
Oh, so I did kind of want to get into this. I don't know if you've ever ran tournaments at conventions. I know you just said you were just doing demos, but a lot of stores do this, and obviously at Gen Con there are Magic the Gathering tournaments, and there's about tournaments for every game. What are your feelings on players that really don't care about 90% of the convention, but really want to go to the tournament and don't feel like paying the $50 to $100 to have to just get inside the convention just to go play a tournament for a day and then leave? Like, what are your feelings on people kind of feel like it's locked in, right? The exclusivity of this tournament is only for people at this convention, and if they want to play, they feel it's unfair that they have to pay $100-something, or maybe it's like $50 to have to get inside to play a tournament. What are your kind of thoughts on keeping tournaments in the convention versus at pretty much any other venue, or even just running tournaments at conventions overall?
So, I'm gonna have 2 points on this. First one is going to be that I think convention exclusive tournaments are totally a thing that needs to happen because it brings in people to conventions, so it builds up that hype and it gets the convention support, which like for like local conventions, so not Gen Con, but like local conventions, stuff like that. That's huge because on like smaller conventions, things like that really need as many like people coming in and participating as possible so they can grow. So I think having tournaments like that are convention exclusive where you have to be a part of the convention is totally worth it. My other point about that, though, is that I think if you're going to do something like that, you need to make sure that if they're paying for a badge to get into the convention and then they're also paying to play in your tournament, that you're keeping the cost relatively low. So, for example, with the demo deck tournament that we wanted to do on Sunday at Nebraskon, but we just didn't quite have we should have done it on Saturday evening, which is what we realized in hindsight. But what we wanted to do is it was only going to be $5 a person. You got to play in a tournament. You got a free deck for playing in the tournament, and then you could win other prizes while playing. So, like, it was only a $5 tournament. So the only thing you had to do, and for the board game room, technically I don't think you actually technically needed a convention badge to get into that room. I'm not 100% certain about that, but I'm pretty sure I saw people without badges in that room at points in time throughout the day. But I'm not sure. That might be a thing and they just slipped in somehow. But my other point I wanted to make on that is, so for Universal Fighting System, one thing that Jasco Games, the company that does it, they hold their world championships at Level Up Expo in Las Vegas every year, and they pay for everyone's badges that comes to the event. So, like, they have some sort of deal worked out with Level Up Expo where every player who comes and plays in their world championship event gets a badge for free for the entire convention. So, like, that's their way of mitigating that that wanting to play but not wanting to pay for a badge. They actually promote their game by giving people badges for coming to the world championships. So that's like the best example I can think of for people like working around that.
Yeah, it kind of helps vendors too, because like if you don't have like the $60 cost for like a 3-day badge or something, and then like you go in and like, so you've got like, you're basically up $60 that weekend. You might pick up like, you know, a new game or like a couple of packs or something like that while you're there, since like you didn't have to pay to get in, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like because you're going to Vegas, so like it's already an expensive trip just like for your plane ticket and your hotels and like all the food you're eating for the weekend and stuff like that. So like not having to pay for a badge and then like being able to go to the vendor room there, because like Level Up Expo's got like a huge vendor room as well. So like it's pretty crazy. I know last time I was there, I easily spent like $400 in the vendor room on top of everything else that was already going on that weekend. So, like, but they always have a bunch of crazy stuff and things like that. But yeah, no, but that's the best example I can think of for the problem you were bringing forth. But I think that, so ending thoughts, I think that convention exclusive tournaments are totally like something that needs to be in existence because it grows the conventions, but I think that there is definitely ways that the vendors that are holding these tournaments can mitigate the cost for players so that they aren't having to pay an outrageous amount of money just to sit down and play in a card game tournament.
Right on. I think that's a great way to end it, unless you have something else, Simeon, because I thought that was an awesome answer.
No, that's
all right.
That's great to hear. I'm glad that like that's kind of like what I wanted to, like, an opinion that I wanted to get from you, but I didn't have the right question to ask to get it. So I'm glad that somehow we worked our way to it.
Right on. Well, Mason, thank you so much for coming on. Go ahead and plug the store one last time before we close out the episode, and then I think we're ready to wrap it up.
All right, yeah. My name is Mason Johnson. I work at Legendary Wolf Games here in Omaha at Oakview Mall. Our website is legendarywolfgames.com. We sell singles for all of our card games except for Pokemon, which will be added here very soon. And we're going to be doing a bunch of cool sales for Christmas and stuff like that coming up here soon because we have our 2-year anniversary as well. So come the end of November, beginning of December and things like that, we're going to have a bunch of cool stuff going on. So...
Yeah, and if you come to Nebraska, if you come to Omaha, you just take the 144th Street exit and follow that to L Street, I think, right? That's right around where the Oakview Mall is.
Yep, that's exactly where we're at.
Mason, thank you so much for coming on. I'll hopefully talk to you in the future. I sometimes go down to Omaha, so we might see you around there.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks again for having me, guys.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah.
All right.
Sir, I've defeated you.
It was a great game.
I'll shake your hand. It was
a great
fantastic game.
Great game.
You guys can play this game with your friends as well.
That was so awesome having Mason on as a guest. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to kind of what me and Simeon's weekend was like at Nebraskon. I was there the full weekend. Simeon came in about Saturday night-ish, around 5 or so o'clock. So we can just go ahead and go over, because this is kind of what made
really
us happy
dragging
this
my
week.
feet.
You were just terrible. And costume was falling apart as soon as I saw you. So that brings us right into... So the weekend, I started off Friday as Captain America. Then I kind of switched into Casey Jones for like a half second just to finish the night off. And then Saturday, I was Old Man Joseph Joestar. And then by the time night rolled around, I got really, really sick and tired of wearing a beard and having my hair spray painted gray. So I switched into Young Man Joseph Joestar. And then that's when I ran into Simeon, and he was...
I was Tomura Shigaraki.
Sushi chopstick. I shouldn't keep doing that, but whatever. He was one of those guys. What is that from, though? I didn't explain where
Shigaraki is one of the main villains in the My Hero Academia series, the anime, if you will. So he's most notable. He's like the one that's got like all the hands, all like one on his face, one on his head, like 5 on his shirt. 2 giving him a hug. He's Mr. Handsy.
Choking him
there
out.
There definitely weren't jokes about that.
No one said
whatsoever.
anything hand-related to you at all that entire
night. I did not. Not get that, but yeah. It's a cosplay that I've been thinking about doing for a long time. Not only is it like fairly simple in design, it's also just like a really creepy villain kind of character. And I really, as much as I enjoy playing like a hero, and one of the things I love the most about a convention is when you're playing like a hero and a little kid sees you and they're like, "It's the real guy!" And like they get a picture with you, and like kids just really make conventions for me.
Oh, yeah.
But as much as I like that, I love playing a villain just as much. I did see a Deku.
Deku?
Like,
why'd you say it like you having a stroke?
I don't. Deku tree. Deku. I've been playing too much.
Izuku Midoriya, whatever. Keep going.
Yeah, I've been playing too much Legend of Zelda, the Deku nuts and the Deku trees. We made eye contact and then he sprinted away, so that was nice.
That was weird. I was there for that. That was super awkward.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I absolutely
Conventions are never awkward.
No, never. They're like the least awkward place on earth, of course. Well, everybody is so cool, confident, and collected at conventions. The 3 C's. Goodness. No, but it's pretty awesome being like a just superhero. Like Captain America, that happens all the time with like kids. But it's super lame and awesome to cosplay Captain America nowadays because like never used to happen ever before, but now we get the obvious America's butt things going on, and I wish that would cut it out. Like in one movie, they both made Captain America one of my all-time favorite characters ever, more awesome to cosplay and yet worse to cosplay all at the same time. Because now I had the broken shield, the hammer, like dream come true. But then instead of everybody just being like, "Man, that's so cool," or "That's a really sweet moment," they just say, "That's America's butt." But and it really just devalues the whole thing. To me, that's how it feels, because that's all anyone says, and it's really boring. And you hear it about 80 times a day. Like when it first started like happening, I was just like, "Yep, sure is." Did a little like salute. But now I just say like, "Oh, that's original. How long did it take you to think of that one?" I get really like cocky as Captain America, and I just get really mouthy, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah. Never heard that one before. Awesome. Wow, amazing." So yeah.
So you screwed up. You're in detention. No, it's
patience,
all about the memes.
Et cetera,
there's a lot of cosplay that is just meme. It's just like
memes.
Cosplay the meme. But no, that'd be something that'd be okay if it was like a Walmart or Target Captain America. But
yeah.
Yeah, I can see how like it's like, hey, I put like hours worth of work into this.
And I'm not saying
could you
my
not
suit's
sum
like,
it up in just like the joke of the show, you know?
Yeah. And I did do a lot of work, but I'm not saying like my pristine Captain America suit. But it's like, come on, man, come on. But yeah, anyways, it was pretty sweet. It's pretty fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it a little bit earlier on Saturday. They had a swap meet. I love swap meets. They're pretty awesome. I forgot to bring stuff for this. The whole point of a swap meet is that a bunch of people who aren't vendors or whatever, they all just set up in the room, and it's first come, first serve. So if you're right there, you just bring all your junk in, lay it on the floor, lay it on some tables, chairs or whatever, and then you just like display your wares, and people walk around, or other people that are also set up for the swap meet walk around and try to swap stuff with you. It's a big trading kind of festival, and it's awesome. Showed up, I had nothing to trade. And I saw 2 Loot Crate things that I missed out on because I don't have Loot Crate anymore. One was a Ash vs. Evil Dead little diorama thing, and then one was a Captain America Avengers number 4, first appearance of Captain America in the Avengers comic book. It was also a little diorama, a little 3D kind of portrait thing. And I'm like, I want those. I need to get those. So here's how we're going to do it. One guy was giving away free stuff. He was just like, I just don't want it anymore. It's junk. And I'm like, you're right, it is junk. So I grabbed a Superman Pez dispenser, and I'm like, this is my paperclip. And if you know the reference, you got it. Good job. With that paperclip, this is going to take like 5 minutes, hopefully, or maybe less. I traded first for a Ryu keychain, which like lit up, right? So I'm like, boom, already Pez dispenser, right? That has no Pez to a keychain that actually lights up. Already we're in the green. Traded the keychain for both a Deadpool hat and like some other tchotchkes. Traded those tchotchkes for an X-Men metal, like little X-Men figure. Traded that X-Men figure for a Dorb of Magneto. Then I ended up trading, I still have the hat at this point because I got the other tchotchkes with it. The hat was my big ticket item. I traded the hat plus the Dorb for the Evil Dead one, right? Then I'm like, dang, I'm out. This is rough. I went back to that guy's free box, and I'm like, hey, is it okay if I take a few more things? So sadly, I couldn't do it all with the one Superman Pez dispenser, but then I went back. I grabbed one more Pez dispenser that was like an emoji one, and then I grabbed 2 little, he had rubber ducks. I traded the rubber ducks for a Saitama and Genis little keychains, which are like super bootleg. Traded those for a Thor Ragnarok movie coin. I actually ended up keeping that because I think it's actually really neat. I love Thor Ragnarok. And then I traded, that Pez dispenser for Marvel shoelaces from Loot Crate. Traded the shoelaces, what was it? It was some, oh, I know what it was. It was a Dragon Ball Z Scouter. Because the guy I was talking to, I was trying to like get him, I was trying to work my way in with this guy. And I'm like, hey man, I really want that Captain America. I really want that Ash vs. Evil Dead thing. What are you interested in? I can kind of trade for that to try to get, whatever. So it's like a 30, 40 minute, like just me like going around and trading. But I loved it. I love the rush of it. So I got a Dragon Ball Z Scouter, and I'm like, all right, this has got to be it. He likes Dragon Ball. Here we go. He's like, man, I got like 3 Scouters, and they're like all better than that one. And I felt pretty defeated after that. I'm not gonna lie. But and I'm like, dang, I really got to go back to trading, man. Come on, like this is like getting late in the day. Other people have already started trading the rest of their stuff off. It's kind of slim pickings at this point. So like after a little bit of a kind of like talking back and forth, like, hey man, whatever, kind of, working the how do you call it, the feel for a little bit, the art of the deal was going on pretty hard right there. He took the Scouter because it was a different color than the ones he had, so it was at least new. He took the Scouter for the Captain America, so I ended up with the Thor Ragnarok coin, the Captain America little display, and the Ash vs. Evil Dead little display, all from like Pez dispenser, 2 Pez dispensers and 2 rubber duckies. So you can totally trade up from items that are free, basically worth nothing, like generic Man of Steel Pez dispenser, or super generic like emoji Pez dispenser. It's all about like finding the right person to trade to. And I'm not gonna lie, I really, really enjoyed that, and I wish there was more of that in Heroclix. Instead, it's like, hey, I'm trading this. Yeah, let me check eBay really quick. Yeah, they're all about going for that much. Yeah, sure, man, we can trade that. Or like when a set's new and it just kind of comes out, and you're just talking with your local guys, like super rare, a couple of rares, super rare, lower super rare. That's about it. But I love trading like this. It was pretty awesome. It's giving me a pretty good buzz. I really enjoyed that.
So, just like a quick side tangent. When I first got into Heroclix, I had never played like a collectible game before. I had never spent money collecting any like one thing before, and so I had zero idea that like different things could have different values even though they're the same rarity. Like the idea was completely lost on me for the first like couple months that I was doing it. And so I can't remember what I pulled in War of Light, but someone was like, "Oh, like I really want that. Will you trade it?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I don't care about this at all. So like what do you have?" And I ended up getting like Kid Pool, Head Pool, and Dog Pool. And I was like, "Oh wow, I got 3 figures for one. I'm doing great." Like look
Do you
at
know
this
what it
fool.
was that you traded?
No, I want to say it was like it might have been like Carousel or
Oh man.
it wasn't like Superboy
I
Prime
was waiting
or
for you to
anything
be like,
that.
yeah, some weird like snake thing called a Dara or whatever. I don't know. It just
Maybe like
lame.
Ophidian. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something that wasn't good. It was had like phasing top dial, and who wants that?
Who wants that? It's garbage. Garbage.
No,
power.
but then the first chase that I ever pulled was the Ultron Prime from the movie Gravity Feed.
Ooh.
That was a Target exclusive at the time. And I bought 3 packs. I got Ultron, I got like a Mark 1 drone, and something else.
We had kind of similar first chase pull story, except mine was it was Shopco, but it was basically a Target version of the Gravity Feed, and it was Iron Man 3, and I got the Iron Man of War Machine as my first chase. But that's cool.
Oh, nice. So I was like, oh, it's a chase. And so I went back to my game shop like later in the week, and the guy was like, oh, like that's one that I want. Is there anything that you want? And he had the Chase Hulk from Avengers Assemble, and I was like, oh, like I'm interested in that. And he's like, oh, like what else do you have? And I was like, well, they're both chases, so it's just like 1 for 1, right? But no, that Ultron was worth like 25, and that Hulk was going for like 75. So it was not
Was that
1
Hulk
for 1.
really that expensive at the time?
I want to say he was like 60, 70, something like that, but
Jeez.
yeah, that's like
It's a little
4
wild.
years ago, so I don't exactly
Who
recall,
even knows
but
what
yeah.
happens 4 years ago? Goodness, I don't.
So like I would be terrible at one of those swap meets. I'd have to be the guy with free, because if I went in with like
Just
any
take it, just take
expectation
it.
of getting my value, it'd be like, oh, I've got like all these like limited edition blah blah blahs, and people would be like, oh man,
Okay.
I really want that. Do you want a piece of gum? And I'd be like, yeah, I guess
that is-
I do.
That reminds me of one thing. I did trade one of my, not bought, but I traded for a little metal Wolverine, and he was left over. I traded him for a Krispy Kreme donut because I was getting really hungry by the end of it, and someone had those. And I'm like, would you take this Wolverine for a donut? Can I choose it? You got chocolate? That's what happened. So yeah.
That is desperation.
That was a little desperation. It kind of, I'm gonna be honest, it kind of was. So any other cosplay stories about while you were there, or things we can probably both go into?
Oh, do we want to do like what our favorite cosplays that we saw were?
Yeah, let's go like our favorite ones of the show. Top 3, if you can think of top 3.
So I really like seeing things that I don't expect to see. So I saw Kronk from Emperor's New Groove, and Yzma was there. So that was like they did a great job, and that was like one of my favorite ones that I saw. There was someone that was dressed up as a banana that was dressed up as Saitama from One Punch Man, and that was also like equally really not necessary, but just funny to see.
Yeah.
And then I think my favorite one was Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom. He's like a big yellow tentacle monster thing.
I think I understood about
and
half of those. Whatever you said.
Koro Sensei?
I know
That
who
means
he was. I know what you're talking
Koro
about.
teacher, I believe.
Jesus. Goodness gracious.
I think that's a direct translation. So yeah, he's got these tentacles, and then on his like 2 like basically hands, what would be like his hands if he was an actual teacher. He's got like 2 fingers, and so the guy had made his entire like suit, and he had those little like gripper grabbers, the like extension grabber things that people use if they can't bend over and they need to pick stuff up, or if they can't reach high places and they need to grab stuff.
Yeah.
He had 2 of those inside of his suit, and so he could like pinch you with them.
That was pretty cool.
It was just really,
I remember that one.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
My kind of top 3 has to go. This guy was only there on Friday, so you didn't get to see him. I'll have to send you a picture later. But he was a Ugandan Knuckles, if you remember that dead meme from a few years ago.
Yeah.
But it was just high quality enough for me to be impressed, and yet low quality enough for it to just work. It's like he's wearing like a red sock over his head, but he also has this big like red inflatable like sumo suit. So he's got the weird legs and the small arms, and it works oddly so well. It was awesome. There was also a wrestling panel, which I'll get into a little bit later. But there's a Mankind, a Finn Balor, a Sergeant Slaughter, all were there. There's a Chris Jericho. I didn't get to see a lot of him, but that Mankind was really, really cool. And I got to know that Mankind a little too well. I didn't care for that. Because he kept the stock in the same place that Mankind normally does. And I was just like, oh, well, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. What was another really good one? I feel like I have to shout out Lady Dio, because she made the sign that he like picks up halfway through the fight, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But also she was terrifying. So
there was multiple Lady Dios. My personal favorite was the one who had the world following like
that
behind
poor
her.
Man, where
there's a guy just like standing very still, just like being a stand.
Just Jeez, you're fired. There was also a really good Lady Joseph Joestar there. Not the one you're thinking of, but the one that was a part 3 version, and she was like a photographer, so she actually had a camera. I had a Polaroid camera I bought for like $2, and I was like pretending to smash it all day, and then she had like an actual nice camera 'cause she's a real photographer, and then like we took a picture of us both like karate chopping our cameras, which I thought was really neat. It's not offensive, that's how they say it. That's like syllable for syllable how it's said.
That's what I watched.
Yeah, exactly.
Like on the TV.
Awesome. Yeah, on the TV, on the television. So I'm going to go into this really quick. For anybody that's a wrestling fan, may or may not know, I really like doing Sting. Sting's probably one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. I only got into wrestling.
Mean the Undertaker?
Yeah, the Undertaker. Oh, jeez, that was so bad. So Sting in one night got mistaken for Kiss, the Undertaker, the Crow, which is fair, it's fine, and someone else.
Crow's fine, yeah.
Yeah, Crow. Well, yeah, because that's like the reference material used for it. But like, someone thought I was Kiss. The Undertaker one got me. I'm like, I'm not even wearing the trench coat. I was just wearing like a tank top, and I'm like, trench coat, no hat.
I can't think of a single time the Undertaker's painted his face.
See, yeah, neither can I. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, he kind of sometimes has like a little bit of black around his eyes, sure, but like that's just like eyeshadow. Like that's not like the raccoon eyes that like Sting normally has, you know. So I mean, it was pretty late, so he might have been a little out of it by the time he thought that, and he was just like, whoa, a wrestler wearing black, it's the Undertaker. And I'm not gonna lie, I was really tempted to it's not a tombstone, because obviously that'd be incredibly dangerous, but the one where he crosses their arms for his pin, and then he sticks out his tongue, you know?
Oh yeah.
That's a really weird move to just do to someone at a convention, so I was like, wasn't feeling that.
Well, you'd have to like gently lay them down, and
we have to lay them down, and you gotta like squat over top of them.
Yeah.
And like do
I think you have to do the tombstone, otherwise it's weird.
If you don't tombstone,
if you don't bust their head on concrete, then it's weird. Yeah.
So kind of getting into that, there was a cut a promo panel, and I don't know if I'll post any of these pictures. They're pretty great though, and I was honestly, to be fair, I was very impressed in myself. And it was
this
really
was at like 11 at night, right?
This was at 11 o'clock at night, but this probably started. Yeah, it started at 11, but it devolved to this kind of part of it at about like 11:50, like really getting close to that, midnight hour. So basically, we were just taking turns on the mic, and most people were just doing heels because that's the easiest way to be. It's hard to make someone like you, like trying to be like, I'm the good guy, like it's a little difficult to do that. Instead, you just make fun of people. Like that's obviously easier to do on the mic. And Sting, he went up there a few times, tried his best. I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, improv's not what I'm the best at, I did what I could with what I had to work with and who I could work off of. Since Sting is from Omaha, Nebraska, like I'm 90% sure that's right? Like I'm pretty sure he's born in Omaha. I might be wrong. Someone's gonna call me a fake fan if I get that wrong. But I was like, it was like Omaha or Iowa. Off the top of my head. He was like born in Nebraska or Iowa. It was like some like Midwestern state. But anyways, it quickly devolved when a drunk Mankind came in and really got on the mic, and he was. So I jumped down off the stage. I kind of did like a sort of pseudo stinger splash to him on the stage, and then we kind of got in each other's face, and then we'd throw in like I don't want to call them fake punches. People get mad at me, but the punches where it's like you move your arm, you stomp your foot, but there's clearly no contact being made, but it's really close. And I was a little terrified because, like I said, Mankind was a little lit at that moment, as the kids might say. So he was a bigger dude. So getting a connect from Mankind probably wouldn't have felt that good. But there was also
doing the old Andre treatment.
Yeah. Ooh, he about gave him the big boot. So we did that, and then it eventually became a wrestling match with people who are clearly not wrestlers, myself included. But I was so impressed with how well I did some of these moves. So Scorpion Deathlock, boom, tapped one person out like that. It was like a Fallout guy. That was awesome, by the way. That I kind of half got it right. I forgot to put my leg in between the other two legs. I know that's normally how he sets it up, but like, come on, give me some credit here. It's like almost midnight. And then I jumped down from the stage. Me and Mankind were going at it through the fake punches. I actually locked up. I did the whole waving my hand thing, and then like boom, interlock the fingers, wave the other hand, interlock the fingers, do a little back and forth, and then boom, gave him the boot, right? Obviously didn't connect because I'm not going to actually assault someone at a convention. And then Mankind fell, and I can't remember who else was in the quote-unquote wrestling/brawl/terrible mess that was this panel that we turned it into. And Mankind fell, and I'm like, this is perfect. Because if you know anything about wrestling, the best way to break someone's fall is with another person or like something else so they don't totally hit. And obviously we're on like a carpet floor. It's just like a hard floor. So I picked up this guy who was a lot smaller than Mankind. And he was like a little bit smaller than me. I picked him up on my shoulders, and then I just, boom, dropped him on top of Mankind. And I kind of threw my feet out, which really hurt my tailbone when I did that. And I'm like, who does this for a living? And I'm only like, and I'm young, and I'm like, dang, this hurts. This is like not good. So I picked him up once, then I picked him up again at another time, and then Mankind jumped on me and Mr. Socko'd me. And that is a picture I'm not proud of, but it is one that I have in my photo gallery of me getting socked. And like I said, Mankind was keeping that sock in his belt, and that was, sock was a little warm there, folks. I wouldn't, and I got socked twice. So
he preheated it for you.
Yeah, he preheated it for me. Dude, it was great. But then after we got done with like the brawl, and I threw like two people, and I was really impressed with that. I just want to say, pretty impressive feat, guys. Just, throwing that out there. Threw like two people. And then like after that brawl was done, talked to like Mankind. Man's like, dude, you were so safe. That was awesome. And realistically, I'm thinking like no one should have got hurt because clearly we're all just pulling things and we're just wrestling, whatever. But obviously people are also stupid, myself included. So people could have got hurt. But no, it was actually totally fine, which is awesome. And I talked to the guy who ran the panel. I was like, hey, I didn't mean to devolve it into that mess. And he's like, no, that was awesome. What are you talking about? That was great. Be a little more careful, but like that was great. So yeah, like I was really like riding super high after that moment. But it was like 12:30 by the time we got done wrestling. And by the way, we maybe did this for like 5, maybe 10 minutes. And I was more winded than I ever was in my entire life. I was thirsty. My throat was killing me. I'm like, man, I know I picked up a guy twice. But like people do that. Like Kurt Angle, when he runs out on stage, he like throws 3 suplexes before he even does anything else. And he's like 60,
Oh yeah.
It really is. I'm not an athlete. I just throw weight around. So I was really impressed. It gave me a lot of respect for guys that do this, especially amateur level guys that do this, because like they're doing it without the big paychecks, and they're doing it sometimes more hardcore than like the guys on TV are. So this gave me a lot of respect for wrestlers for sure. And like, dang, being able to keep your wind like that for 20-30 minutes sometimes. Heck, even an hour, was just really cool. So, but that was seriously like top of my moment. Like some of these pictures, I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm like bringing the essence of the stinger right there. That was pretty awesome. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. That definitely made the convention for me right there. Since the entire night I got no pictures taken, or maybe like 2 or 3, but Simeon was just slaughtering me, and I was like, wow, I'm getting killed. I'm getting killed here.
Yeah, there's. By the way, Sting was born in Omaha, Nebraska, and then raised in California.
Okay, that's why I thought he was from Omaha, though. But
that's why he was beach Sting, surfer Sting for a while.
Retro.
Yeah, there was a dude that just thought like, "Hey, you're a villain. Let's take some pictures of you fighting Aang, the Avatar. You know, from that series."
Oh, like that series, like 12 years old.
Yeah, also like
more?
That isn't like, I mean, it's similar. I guess it's somewhat similar to My Hero Academia, but it's like I don't know. But then the most egregious one was he had me do a photo shoot with Goku. Like the same guy came back like 5 minutes later. He was just hounding me, and he had me do like a photo shoot with Goku, and I was like, Goku wins every time. Like, I've watched the videos, I've ran the numbers. We all know how fast he moves. It's pretty fast.
It's pretty fast.
Goku.
That's the Super
Goku
Saiyan ability.
left Earth and got to like planet Zygabart in like
I knew you were gonna say
15
something with
minutes.
Z.
Yeah. And so clearly he was moving at like 10 times the speed of light, and if he can do that, then you know he can win every fight all the time.
But if you could like sneak up on Goku while he's at like a shopping mall or something, then you could really.
Oh, like wear like a hoodie so I'm incognito.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he'll
Goku
be like,
could never see through that. It's too dense.
Bulma, you wanna go get some noodles? And I'll be like, oh, Goku. Oh, I found him here. Oh.
Jeez. All right, go ahead and do. I'm pretty much done, so go ahead and say whatever else you want to bring up from the old memorable weekend there.
I just liked how towards the end it devolved into like probably the most debaucherous convention I've seen in a while. Like, it's held in like a hotel, so people can sleep like steps away from where they are, like cosplaying. And normally at conventions you have to drive or walk like several blocks to get to like that kind of area. So like the real debauchery at most conventions, like be it like San Diego Comic-Con or like Planet Comic-Con or like any of like, you know, any Comic-Con, you normally have to like walk to your hotel. But being inside a hotel, yeah, it started getting pretty saucy late in the night. So I called it good before it got too bad.
That was probably the best idea that anyone could ever have at a convention. Nebraskon gets pretty wild, and ain't about that life.
Yeah, this was my first year there. I had a lot of fun. Next time, I'd really like to have like 2 full days where I can go. I usually, like when I've gone to conventions like previously, I like to have 2 days where I can cosplay like 2 different outfits. And then the third day, I usually go in plain clothes and like actually enjoy the convention, because when you're dressed up as something that like people like, it is hard to really like function at all. Sometimes you'll take like 5 steps and someone will be like, "Oh, can I get a picture?" And you'll be like holding a pretzel and you're like, "I haven't ate all day. I just really want this pretzel." And you're like, "Oh, sure," because you want to be nice. And so you hide the pretzel behind your back. And then you're like about to take a bite and you dip it in the cheese and you bring it up to your face and someone's like, "Gambit, can I get a picture with you?" And you're like, "No, I'm eating a pretzel now." And like, you know, you have to shout a poor child away. But no,
a little too raging there. Jeez, man.
Next year, I'm hoping I'll have a couple of cosplay ideas by then, and that really is like my favorite part of those conventions. Heroclix conventions, my favorite part is playing the game, and I don't want to be dressed up all day. But
I tried to make that work at Gen Con, and you really shouldn't be uncomfortable while you're trying to play Heroclix. It was pretty fun for the most part, but like, yeah, I was like, man, I got to shed Captain America. I'm sweating. Like, that's a really hot costume. So I'm like, yeah, I got to shed it.
Yeah, Worlds PAX last year at 2018 PAX Unplugged. Devin came in, I think for Team Worlds. He dressed up as Doom, and I don't even know if he got to like round 2 before he had to like start taking stuff off, and he was just like, got way too hot in there.
I feel that. I can feel that. Oh yeah, speaking of Devin was there. Obviously, he is from Happy Little Heroclix. Devin is from Omaha, Nebraska, so we got to meet up with him and talk with him for a little bit. He's always a joy to see, and we're going to be working out sort of a crossover, maybe not really, video here in the future, so stay tuned for that, guys. I would say, without further ado, since I kind of want to keep this episode a little short, if there's no final thoughts or end, just final thoughts, then I think we can go ahead and wrap it up.
I'm just going to say, support your local indie wrestling. It's probably the most fun that you'll have on like a weeknight or a weekend night. Even if you don't like wrestling, just give it like, they'll probably charge you like $15 at the door or something like that. It's not expensive, and it's literally, if you don't go in with like high expectations, it's probably the most fun that you'll have on a weekend.
It is seriously awesome, and they do storylines, which is like really huge. So if you go to their social media, a lot of the times they will have like promo videos that the guys cut for the thing. You can really, all the wrestlers have full gimmicks that they do. Like, it's pretty awesome. I really enjoy the indie scene around South Dakota and Nebraska because they cross over a lot since they're like 2-3 hours away, which is I consider very close. So I think that's really awesome. So absolutely go out there and support your local indie scene, or else you're going to get really bad wrestling like what I did, which was just terrible. Somehow safe, but still terrible.
Yeah, I follow on Twitter and Instagram. The name is Effy Lives, EFFY Lives, and he does some like death matches and stuff. So like you won't see that at most like local places. Most indie scenes won't have like death matches every night, but these guys are really put like themselves on the line and like really like try and give you a good show so that you like walk away satisfied. And yeah, if you ever get the chance, it's fun stuff.
Fantastic. Well, this was our first episode of Dial C for conventions. I know it's sort of not really Heroclix related, but I really hope you guys enjoyed it. This is a passion that both me and Simeon have, going to conventions, cosplay, and all this stuff. And since we seem to talk about it a lot on the normal podcast, I thought we'd do something fun like this. The guys before us have done, a Dial M for movies before, which was like they just talked about Resident Evil for a cast. So I felt like we could get away with this if you thought this was cool. If no one gives me any feedback, I'm just going to keep doing it, just so you guys know. So if you thought this was good, give us some positive feedback. If you're like, you know what, this is great and all, and it's cool that you guys like this, but I don't listen to podcasts for that, that's also super cool too. But just let us know. And I really hope to do more of these in the future because conventions are another huge passion of ours. So without further ado, this was Dial C for conventions, Dial H, a subsidiary of Dial H for Heroclix. Happy trails.
My stuff.